confections, which is really nice. We also use it to make, say, white chocolate cheesecakes, or to make a white chocolate cream of some sort. Just to make different types of cookies and chocolates and confections and bars, to have that nice bit of chocolate flavor and essence to it. Yeah. Okay, so that looks good. So this is, you know, it's just one of the easiest and most satisfying recipes, and you can see all those vanilla seeds broken up in there, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So at this point you could taste it. I know if it needs anything, it's just going to be another pinch of salt, so I'm actually going to mix all of the ingredients together first, and then I'll give it a little taste. And depending on my experience in tasting it, I'll either add a little more salt or get ready to form the clusters. So it's just such a nice thing, because basically we're just mixing up the dry ingredients, getting those wet ingredients well combined, and then stirring the whole thing together. And it's, you know, it would be a nice thing even if you do have children to do with them. That just like making cookie dough, I mean, it doesn't take a long time. It probably takes just as long as making some cookies at most. It might even be a shorter process than making some cookies. And they can lick the bowl, just like, you know, they can lick the bowl after making cookies. And they can eat the cookie dough too. And there's no eggs in it to worry about. So it's a little more difficult to stir than it would be if you let that mixture go a little while longer. And like I said, on a warm day it would melt much more quickly. But basically you just want to mix it until the whole batter is moistened and you don't see any pockets of the cacao powder. And so this would also, because it's a little cooler in here, it'll make it a little more difficult to add salt if I wanted to, which is also a good reason to add the salt when it's still in the food processor if you have it in there, because it'll combine everything really well. So I'm just almost there. I still see a little bit of cacao powder on the bottom of the bowl. Oh yeah, it's nice and thick. And then at home, you probably don't have a little mini ice cream scoop or melon baller. You can buy them pretty inexpensive from a kitchen store. But you can just, you know, using a tablespoon or just your hands, get in there and form some little clusters. This makes about 50 of them. If, you know, this size, that's about 2 tablespoons. So, or a very rounded tablespoon. So you would just form them, and you can store some of them in your fridge in a container. They'll get nice and hard, or you can store them in a container in your freezer, and they'll last in there for months and months, and it's really nice. I mean, one of the important ideas to keep in mind if you're transitioning to more living foods in your diet, or in your, you know, in your lifestyle. I don't like the word diet, I don't like the idea of diets, but you know, your new lifestyle, if it's incorporating more raw foods, you want to have things that are easy to grab on hand. So if you have that craving, and that's a nice thing about sweet treats like this, because I don't know about you, but I get cravings still at this point. I'm not 100% raw yet. I'm, you know, probably 80, 90, something like that. But still, I still have my cravings of things that like I long for, and if I don't have something that's live and raw, especially in the realms of chocolate, I might go and, you know, buy the healthiest chocolate bar I could find, but it's still nowhere near as healthy as having something like this at home. And this way you can just keep them in the freezer, pull them out, and they're delicious right out of the freezer too. They're a little more firm, but they're great. You just keep them in there, pull it out if you're feeling the urge, have a little bite, and you're getting cacao, raw cacao powder and maca powder and goji berries and all these things. So it's really nice to know, and it's also nice to know that, you know, your friends or family, if they come over and they're wanting a sweet little treat, you can just pull one out. So I'm going to give it a little taste. And that's perfect. I'm glad, because I don't want to try and mix any more salt in there. We can do that. I'm not going to be serving these, but what I do want to show you briefly is just how they would scoop out. Normally, oh, I'm all out of wax paper. That's okay, I don't need much. So normally, I would line a tray or a cookie sheet with my wax paper. And then you just take a little scoop and pop those out, and they look like a nice little haystack or something like that, a little chocolate haystack from the store. Stick them in the refrigerator, and they take between 5 and 10 minutes to cool down, firm up, and it's a beautiful little candy to enjoy or to share. So I'm going to go grab some that are finished from the back and let you have a taste.